So we're talking about the sculpture for Bill Manhire as part of the Wellington Writers Walk. This is probably one of the most well-known sculptures on the walk, but it's also one of the shortest. So it's barely a dozen words, I think. And this is how it goes. I live at the edge of the universe like everybody else. That's it. It's from a poem called Milky Way Bar, which is from a book of poems called Milky Way Bar that was published by Victoria University Press. And even though it's so short, there's a lot you can say about the sculpture, isn't there?
We have a lot of fun when we take the tour in person. We ask people, what do you think? What do you think it means? And just, people come up with all sorts of, and we get a bit of a chuckle out of it because it's a little bit sort of elusive. And just recently, I kind of felt I finally got it because I'd always thought it was more about us being close to the Antarctic, like we're at the edge of the world. But now I sort of get it, that we're a globe and everybody living on the planet's on the edge. But suddenly that's what I thought. But I think you can bring, well, with Bill's work, you can bring a lot of your own thoughts.
There's a lot of ways that you can read it, really. So, yeah. And it's also in quite a nifty little position.
It is. It's really nice to find, isn't it? It's beautiful, kind of over the water.
So Bill Manhire wasn't born in Wellington, but he's also very much a Wellington writer.
No, he's a publican's son from Invercargill, and I love that. I love that about him. I think it makes him an earthy character growing up in a pub and then becoming probably the creative writing guru. And he's a generous person in the writing world in Wellington, so I think he's quite supportive and generous to other writers, which is a nice...
And I think this poem is just a good example of what his poetry is like. It is whimsical, his poetry, isn't it?
Sometimes you think you don't know how to access his work, and that's okay.
It's quite witty. Often it's quite short, but often it's also very thought-provoking.
And playful.
And playful, but also deep at the same time.
Yes.
And playing with language.
I think that's a big part of it, the playing with language. Sometimes it looks like deceptively really simple, because the quote you just read, it's like, oh, okay. But then we get all this conversation out of it.
So Bill's retired now from the English department at Victoria University, but still writing and still part of the literary world.
That's right, and he's an Arts Foundation laureate, and he got the Prime Minister's Award, so he's had several awards, and I think in recent years he's been published in the New Yorker, so kind of that's quite a triumph, I think.